Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Doug Demuro and the rapid decline of his car review channel. So no, this video is not a question of is Doug Demuro's channel declining, but rather why is Doug Demuro's channel declining and what could he do to prevent further decline and potentially regain some of his lost viewership. And just to throw out some numbers at the beginning of this video so you guys know this is real, at Doug Demuro's peak, he was getting close to 40 million views per month and regularly getting over 30 million views per month. Whereas now he struggles to get over 20 million views a month. And as of this month, he's only tracking for about 13 million views, about a third of what he used to get. So now let's dive into this topic and figure out what the heck is happening with Doug Demuro. But as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. This is actually an extremely complex topic because anything associated with YouTube is very complex. I know that it seems like it's really simple and you just post silly videos and make tons of money, but that's not reality. Actually being able to sustain a long-term career on YouTube is very difficult, and there's a lot that goes into it. And so, yeah, we're gonna dive into the 5-ish reasons as to why Doug Demuro is declining at such a rapid rate. First off, I want to show you guys a quick little list of the recent videos that he has posted before we kind of dive into this. So basically, he posted a video reviewing a 2022 Audi Q4 e-tron. He talked about underrated enthusiast cars, a review on the Hyundai Kona N, a review on the Toyota Hilux. He talked about the cars that he's owned, and then he has a review on the new Toyota 4Runner. So you guys can see a general theme. He either posts reviews on newer cars, which he's talked about this in a bunch of videos where he focuses mainly on reviewing new cars rather than older cars like what he used to do because he's reviewed most of the older cars, or he makes videos talking about different topics in the car world that he wants to talk about or topics that pertain to him and his collection. Now, the first reason as to why Doug Demuro's channel is declining at such a rapid rate is because of competition. And this is in stark contrast to what Doug Demuro had to originally deal with, because when Doug Demuro started making videos on YouTube about a decade ago, he had no competition. People weren't making car reviews, and they weren't really making car videos in general on YouTube, and so he had a huge head start. He didn't even start with car reviews. He started with like funny comedic car videos, and then he eventually moved into car reviews. But for most of his career, he hasn't had a massive amount of competition. But that is not what it's like today, because literally everyone's a car reviewer. Like, it's crazy. I find a new car review channel like almost every single week that has like a 50 to 100,000 subscribers, and it's like, where the heck did you come from? It's crazy. And I know that that's not nearly as many subscribers as what Doug Demuro has, but all of these channels pull views from Doug Demuro, and there's a lot of really good big players now. There's Throttle House, which makes amazing cinematic content, and then you have the Straight Pipes. You have Car Wow, which is an absolute car review monstrosity. They get like 60 million views per month, which is almost 6 times as many as what Doug Demuro is getting at the same exact time. And so Doug Demuro is having to deal with something that he's never had to deal with before, and that is competition. And he's not really coping very well, because if you've noticed in a lot of his recent videos, he talks about how he's kind of like the king of car reviews and how he's like the #1 car reviewer. And here's the deal. If you were actually the #1 car reviewer, you wouldn't have to constantly tell the world that you're the #1 car reviewer. It's definitely something that's coming from an insecure place, because he can see that his channel is declining in views and these other channels are increasing in views, and so he's trying to like hold on to whatever he can. So that's the first thing. The number 2 and 3 reason as to why Doug Demuro's channel is declining so rapidly is because of video formatting and video length. And I need to explain something before I dive into this, and that is the fact that most of car review channels' views do not come from subscribers. They come from people that are just researching cars. And so this is the audience that car reviewers need to actually cater to. I know this sounds backwards because all you hear on YouTube is cater towards your audience, your subscribers. But with most car review channels, like 90 to 95% of their views come from people that aren't subscribed and will never subscribe because they don't even have YouTube accounts. They're just Googling a car, watching a review, deciding if they want it or not, and then moving on with their lives. And so with that taken into account, you can see that Doug Demuro's videos aren't very friendly to this audience, because first off, the videos take like 4 minutes to actually start, because he has this intro, which the intro is actually very intelligent because he's kind of hyping people up for what he's going to talk about in the video, but that intro needs to be shortened a bit because we have a TikTokified world where people have no attention span whatsoever. And so you need to just quickly hook people and then get right into the video. But he doesn't do that. He slowly hooks people, and then he jumps into his cars and bids ad for every single video. And again, this needs to be a quick blip where, yes, I understand he's trying to shout out a product that he's created, but that shout out doesn't need to be like an entire minute worth of runtime within a video where, again, the actual video doesn't start until like 3 to 4 minutes into the video. And so what he needs to do is just 10 to 15 seconds, here's cars and bids, here's the benefits, go look at it, right? And that won't annoy anyone, but with how he has things set up right now, people that are just researching cars are gonna click off at a rapid rate and go watch someone else's video that actually starts right away rather than having to listen to some guy talk about his awesome car auction site for like half the video. I know I'm over exaggerating, but you guys get the point. And then, like I said, with this TikTokified world, people don't have the attention span for 30 to 40 minute long videos. Now, I don't think that Doug Demuro should stop talking about all the quirks and features of cars, but he can definitely shorten things up. He's a really creative guy, so he can figure out how to talk about all these quirks and features in a shorter video format. We don't need to have a 1 minute long monologue about how a window switch works on a car. You can quickly talk about it, show it, and then move on to the next feature so that you have a video that is friendly to a world that has no attention span. Now, the fourth reason is actually More Doug Demuro. So More Doug Demuro is a second channel that Doug Demuro created a while ago where he would just make videos in his garage talking about different topics. And this channel was absolutely genius because it capitalized on Doug Demuro's already massive audience that would watch every single video to watch these other videos that he wouldn't have to spend nearly as much time creating or editing. Well, that all ended because Doug Demuro decided that he wanted to upload just as many videos as he does on his main channel while reviewing less cars on his main channel. And so what that means is what you guys saw at the beginning of the video, where he's posting more Doug Demuro videos on Doug Demuro. Huge mistake. His channel needs to be dedicated to car reviews, and he needs to have a second channel talking about car topics if he wants to talk about car topics. Mixing them together does not work very well for the YouTube algorithm, and it doesn't work very well for the audience. It confuses the audience. So what Doug Demuro needs to do right away is stop posting those videos on his main channel and post them on his second channel. And if he doesn't want to put in the time and effort to review more cars to keep up with his posting schedule, just post less on his main channel. People will understand. That's completely fine, especially with a channel of his size. It's okay if he posts a little bit less. The last 2 points is a lack of innovation and a general lack of hustle. Now I understand this puts us into 6 points rather than 5, but whatever. So Doug Demuro hasn't innovated his videos in years at this point. When he first started his channel, he was constantly innovating. He was changing video topics and video style and all that stuff, and it just kept things exciting. And then when he started reviewing cars, he did the same exact thing. He slowly changed things with his videos over time, and it kept things exciting for the audience because they could see him grow. And then a new audience that came in, they were like, oh, this guy's constantly changing things. He's actually trying. And that led him to become the biggest car reviewer, right? But then that all just stopped. It seems like he released the Doug score, and then he released the 30 to 40 minute long video format and just said, this is good. And he just continues to do that to this day. And like I said in an earlier point, he needs to change things up because the world has changed. People don't really watch 30 to 40 minute long videos. Yes, there is, I guess, a group of people that'll watch that, but the vast majority of people don't have that type of attention span. And so video format needs to change, like I said in an earlier point. He needs to change his thumbnails. He needs to change his titles. He needs to innovate on every single front with his videos so that they look more modern. When you look at a Doug Demuro video, and this is coming from someone that really appreciates his videos, it just looks outdated at this point, especially when you compare it to Throttle House and Car Wow and the Straight Pipes and all of these other up and coming car review channels that frankly either get more views than him now or just as many views as him and will surely pass him up in the next few months, if not sooner at this point, with how fast his channel is declining in views. And then the last thing, like I said, is a general lack of hustle. When Doug Demuro started his channel, you could tell he was hustling like crazy. He was doing everything he could to get access to as many cars as he could. He doesn't do that anymore. All he does is just review press cars, which there's nothing wrong with reviewing press cars because that means you get to live with the car for a week and you get to give really in-depth impressions on that car. But the press fleets typically don't have the best cars for you to review because everyone else is also reviewing those cars. And so if you want that edge where you're reviewing the quirks and features on unique cars that other people aren't reviewing, you probably shouldn't base your channel off of just reviewing press cars. You probably should continue to work with dealerships, for example. You probably should continue to go to events and basically get early access to cars, because that is what's going to continue to give him an edge that he's lost. In closing, to keep up with the super competitive car review world, Doug Demuro needs to innovate, plain and simple. He needs to completely transform his videos so that they feel modern and so that they feel competitive with all the other options that we can watch on YouTube at this point, or he is slowly going to fade into obscurity, because again, his decline in views definitely represents that. And so what I want to finish this video off with is going over something that happened to me personally a few years ago. So those of you that watch my channel know that I used to be a car salesman, and at the same time I was a car salesman, I was making these YouTube reviews. And what I learned very quickly is that you cannot succeed at two very complex jobs at the same time. I couldn't be a good car reviewer and a good car salesman at the same time. And so what I did is I decided to quit my job as a car salesman and jump all into YouTube, and that paid off a massive amount because it's completely changed my life, and it just transformed the channel. Like it made it so much better than what it was prior. And so Doug Demuro is in a very similar situation as to what I was in just a few years ago, because he's trying to run cars and bids, and he's also trying to make these YouTube videos. And so that's why he's not innovating anymore, is because he's spending so much time between two different things that are both extremely complex. And I understand that we live in this like hustle culture that's all about doing all these different things at once, but like there is something to be said about just becoming really good at one thing and just letting that carry you, especially if that's what you're known for. Like Doug Demuro is like the car review guy. He has this golden egg and he's letting it slip at this point. So he needs to make a decision. Does he want to be the person that runs cars and bids, or does he want to be the YouTuber Doug Demuro? And I think that the YouTuber Doug Demuro is the route to go, because frankly, cars and bids wouldn't exist if he didn't have his YouTube channel. So if I was him, I would go and hire out someone to manage everything at Cars and Bids so that I didn't have to do anything, and basically just be the owner of Cars and Bids, and then go all in on his YouTube channel, completely transform the channel, change all the things that I talked about in this video to make it so that his channel is competitive within the modern car review world, and take back the crown as the #1 car reviewer. Because despite what you say in your videos, you are no longer the #1 car reviewer, because you don't have anywhere near the views that a lot of these other channels have at this point in the car review world. You're still high up there, but the view count is decreasing day by day, and who knows how low it will go if you don't make any changes. That's all.